Okay, good morning everybody. Today we're going to learn about the brain, but before we get started, I have a video for you guys. Now, how many of you have ever heard of Pinky and the Brain? Anybody? It might be past your generation a little bit, but when I was a student, we used to watch Pinky and the Brain on Cartoon Network. And Pinky and the Brain is about two mice, and Pinky's the dorky one that's silly, and he's really clumsy, and the Brain, well, he fits his name, he's really smart. And in this video, they came up with a song to remember the brain by, the parts of the brain. Now they go a little bit more deep into the different parts of the brain than we will, but they still cover every part that we're going to cover today. So, listen carefully.
And now, the parts of the brain, performed by the brain.
Yes. Neocortex, frontal lobe, hippocampus, neural node, right hemisphere, pons and cortex, visual, Sylvian Fisher, pineal, left hemisphere, cerebellum left, cerebellum right, synapse, hypothalamus, striatum dendrite. Axon fibers, matter gray, central tegmental pathway, temporal lobe, white core matter, forebrains go, central fissure, cord spinal, parietal, diameter, meningeal vein, medulla oblongata, and lobe limbic, microelectrodes, the brain. That ought to keep the little squirts happy. Yeah?
Okay, now that was from Pinky and the Brain. And before I get started, I'm talking about the 6 main different parts of the brain that we're going to be talking about. Did anybody notice what Pinky kept saying? The one that kept dropping down? Brian?
Brainstem.
Brainstem, brainstem. Okay, so that's the first part of the brain we're going to learn about. But before we begin all of that, you need to know that there's more than meets the eye when talking about the brain. Your brain is actually more than just knowledge, okay? Your brain has 6 different parts of it, and each of these 6 different parts has different jobs. Also, your brain is a storehouse for all memory. This isn't just memory about what you did yesterday, what you're wearing today, what you ate for breakfast. This is stuff like how to walk, how to talk, things that we don't normally think about being memory. So also, the size of your brain. I need everybody to hold up 2 fists. Okay, now put your fists together. This is roughly about the size of how your brain actually is. Now think about when you were a baby and how small your brain was then. Our brains grow as we grow, and as we get bigger, our brains get bigger. But the brain still contains all 6 major parts. Now, these are some directions. As I talk about each part of the brain, we're actually going to be building a brain model together. So I'll go ahead and pass these out. You guys are going to have to be in groups. So, you 3 can be together? Okay. Yep. All right. You 2. Now notice there are 6 different colors in the packet, okay, for 6 different parts of the brain. So don't do anything until I give you guys instructions on what to do with each color. You 2 can be together. When she comes, she can be there. Okay, and I have a sample one here. Yes, would you like one? Oh, you can have one. All right, guys. The first part is the brainstem. So I need everybody to take out their orange piece of Play-Doh. All right? And I need you to make it into a worm-like structure, all right? And this is perfect right here, this picture. It covers each of the 6 colors that are in your packet, and it'll be how we're building each part of it. And your pieces might be a little big, but you can just break them apart, whatever you guys need to do to build your own brain. All right, so while you guys are doing all that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the brainstem. Your brainstem connects your brain to the spinal cord, and it also carries messages from your body to your brain. So, for example, if you smack your funny bone on a chair before you even know you hurt yourself, the message gets sent up your body through your spinal cord to your brainstem and then to your brain before you even knew that you got hurt. All right, does everybody have their brainstem made? All right, good job. The next is the cerebellum. So everybody take out their pink piece of Play-Doh and make it into a little ball. And you can see where it is next to the brainstem. So you guys can just stick it straight next to the brainstem. All right, now the cerebellum controls your balance, your muscle tone, and your coordination of voluntary movement. Now what do I mean by balance? Well, when we get up and we go to lunch and we all get in a line and we all walk to class or walk to the lunchroom, we all walk in a straight line. Now the reason we can do this is because of our cerebellum, and it gives us the balance. Coordination of voluntary movement means when I ask you guys to answer a question and you guys raise your hands and you guys tell yourselves, okay, I know the answer to this question, I'm going to raise my hand, your cerebellum takes care of that for you. Okay? Next part of the brain is the occipital lobe. So everybody get out your green piece of Play-Doh and make it out into another ball. And you guys see where it goes. It kind of goes on the back of the cerebellum. So they kind of just build up off each other. All right, so the funny thing about the occipital lobe is it controls your eyesight. Well, why is that funny? Well, it's at the back of your head. So notice the occipital lobe controls your eyesight, but it's actually at the back of your head, but your eyes are actually at the front of your skull. So it's kind of a good way to remember. The thing that controls your eyes is actually on opposite sides of each other. And it also is involved with movement and color discrimination. So you guys see how the brainstem and the cerebellum are pink and orange. They're kind of close, but you can tell that one's pink and one's orange. And the reason for that is because of your occipital lobe part of your brain. All right, so the next lobe that we're going to learn about is the temporal lobe. Now, that's the dark blue piece. So everybody get out your dark blue piece, and you can kind of make it into a bigger piece of Play-Doh. You guys can see kind of the sizes on this mannequin. All right, so your temporal lobe is associated with your memory skills. This is all memory skills. This controls the memory of your verbal material, things I'm telling you in class that you guys will be able to remember later when you take your quiz. And also it controls nonverbal material, such as music and drawings. So when you're driving in the car with your mom and dad and you hear a song on the radio and you recognize the song, the part of your brain that's working is the temporal lobe portion of your brain, because you can connect the voice of the artist that's singing, the music, and the words all together, and the temporal lobe stores it and lets you know what song it is. Next part of the brain is the parietal part of your brain. It actually takes a while for me to say that one because I want to say parietal, but it's parietal. That's how it's pronounced. So that's the red portion. So everybody take out the red part of your brain and mold it into kind of this shape. You can make it into a ball, whatever's easiest for you guys to make. This involves sensation, perception, and sensory information. Anything to do with your 5 senses. So when you guys smell cookies that your mom's baking, you're in the kitchen and it smells so good and you just can't wait to eat them, this is the part of your brain that's working, the parietal lobe. And it has anything to do with your senses, actually, how you perceive things. All right, and then the last portion of the brain we're going to build is the light blue piece. So everybody got the light blue piece of your brain. And this is called the frontal lobe. And it's very well named because it's in the front part of your brain. And it serves as the emotional control center. So when you're happy, when you're sad, when you're crying, this is the part of your brain that takes care of all of that. And it's also home to our personalities, which is really cool. Okay, now that you guys all have your brains built, do you guys all have them? Can you hold them up? Can I see them? How they went? Good, that's a big brainstem right there. That's awesome. Yeah, mine kind of looks the same. So, let's see. Now we're going to practice, and we'll see if you can name all the parts of the brain yet. So you can use your Play-Doh model to help you, okay? All right, so can anyone raise their hand and tell me what this part is called? It was the one that I had a problem saying or pronouncing. Can anybody remember what that one is? Kristen? Parietal lobe, exactly. That's what that one is. It's the parietal lobe. I understand it's hard. Okay, what about this? This is at the front part of your brain. It's the emotional control center. It's home to our personalities. Does anybody know what this one's called?
Temporal lobe.
The frontal lobe.
Frontal lobe.
Frontal lobe. Good job, Meredith. Frontal lobe. Okay, now this purple one in the middle here, it's a pretty big one. Anybody know what this one is?
Is that one the temporal?
That's the temporal lobe. Good job, Rachel.
Thank you.
The temporal lobe. Now, does anybody know what this one is? If this is the back of the brain, this is the thing that controls the thing in the front of your skull. Brian?
Occipital.
Occipital lobe. Good job. These are pretty big words to remember. What about this? It's right next to your brainstem. It's the pink portion of your brain that you built. Kristen?
Cerebellum.
Good job. It's the cerebellum. All right. Now, what about this? It's what Pinky kept saying in the video. Brainstem. Good job, Meredith. Brainstem. All right, now you guys know all the different lobes and parts of the brain. And here's a few fun facts about the brain that you might not know. The brain is made up of about 100 billion nerve cells. That's a lot of cells. It's still not as much money as Bill Gates has, but hey, it's still a lot. So from the 100 billion neurons in the brain, the galaxy has the exact same number of stars, which is pretty cool. And Albert Einstein's brain actually weighed less than the average brain, which is around 3 pounds. And he weighed at 2.71 pounds. Now, I bet you wish your brain was smaller, right? Genius. When a woman is pregnant, the baby's brain is growing so quickly at one stage, the tiny brain is producing 250,000 new baby neurons every minute. And that is why an expectant mother is so tired. Okay, now I have a little quiz for you guys to take. So you guys can look up here. Yes, Meredith?
The one that has to do with memory.
Yes.
Do people who don't have good memories, they have smaller ones, or they have one missing altogether?
They actually have something wrong with that part.
So it's still there.
It's still there. It's still there, but something has dysfunction about it. Yeah, that's where Alzheimer's comes from. It happens in that lobe, the temporal lobe. Okay, so the brain quiz is you have to name 4 out of the 6 we talked about today. If you guys can remember 4 out of the 6, and I have 2 bonus questions. One is you can write 1 fact about 1 part of the brain that you name, or you can name all 6 for me. So I'll go ahead and pass these out. Guys, put your name on the top for me. Shouldn't take you guys too long. You guys are doing a really, really good job. I'll give you guys a few minutes to do this. You guys look up at me when you're done so I know you're finished. So I'll give you guys about 30 seconds to wrap this up. Need to get going. Is everybody pretty much almost done? Okay, good. All right, well, just pass it to the person to the left of you. Everybody just pass your papers along. And while you're doing that, just remember the different parts of the brain that we talked about. We talked about the brainstem, the cerebellum, the occipital lobe in the back of the brain, the temporal lobe, the parietal lobe, and the frontal lobe. Thank you guys for paying attention.